Welcome to ZenLight 8, your source for peace, wisdom, and inner light. Have you ever felt powerless when your kids disrespect or ignore you? Those moments can spark frustration, but don't worry. Today, we're sharing a simple yet powerful approach to turn tension into connection. No yelling, no arguments, just 6 practical steps to regain your calm and build a stronger bond with your children. Let's dive in right now. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for ZenLight 8 so you never miss out on tips to illuminate your soul. Step 1. Keep calm and control your emotions. Have you ever found yourself in a moment where your children blatantly ignore you or toss aside your words with a shrug? Maybe they roll their eyes, walk away mid-conversation, or act as if your presence doesn't matter. It's a sting that cuts deep, and your first instinct might be to snap, to raise your voice, demand respect, or let frustration take the wheel. But here's the truth. Reacting with anger rarely fixes anything. In fact, it often pours fuel on an already flickering fire. Instead, the most powerful tool you have in these situations is your ability to stay calm and keep your emotions in check. When your children disrespect or dismiss you, take a deep breath, anchor yourself, and hold steady. This simple act doesn't just prevent unnecessary conflict. It showcases your strength, stability, and confidence, subtly nudging your kids to pause and reflect on their behavior. Why calmness matters more than you think. Let's start with the obvious. Losing your temper feels good for about 3 seconds. You vent, you release, and then what? The room grows tense, your kids shut down or push back harder, and the gap between you widens. Anger might give you a fleeting sense of control, but it's an illusion, one that leaves you regretting words you can't take back. Staying calm, on the other hand, is a game changer. It's not about suppressing what you feel. It's about channeling it constructively. When you take that deep breath and choose composure over chaos, you're not just protecting your peace. You're setting the stage for a better outcome. Imagine this. Your teenager storms past you, ignoring your request to help with chores. Your blood boils, but instead of shouting, you pause. You inhale slowly, count to 5, and let the heat in your chest settle. In that moment, you're not weak, you're powerful. Your calm becomes a mirror, reflecting back to your child that their actions don't dictate your state of mind. Kids notice this. They might not say it, but they see your stability, and over time, it plants a seed. Maybe mom or dad isn't the enemy here. Maybe I should think about what I just did. The science behind staying cool. There's more to this than just good vibes. Science backs it up. When you're angry, your brain's amygdala, the emotional hotspot, takes over, flooding your system with stress hormones like cortisol. You're in fight or flight mode, and clear thinking? Out the window. But when you breathe deeply and pause, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning and self-control. This shift lets you respond instead of react. It's not magic, it's biology. And the best part? Your kids pick up on it too. When they see you handle tension without exploding, they learn that emotions don't have to rule the day. They start to mirror that maturity, even if it takes time. How to master your emotions in the heat of the moment. So, how do you actually do this when every fiber of your being wants to yell? It's not about being a robot. It's about building a habit. Here's a step-by-step breakdown to make calmness your superpower. 1. Pause and breathe. The second you feel disrespect hit, stop. Don't speak. Don't move. Just take a slow, deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds, hold it for 4, then out through your mouth for 6. This resets your nervous system and buys you time to think. 2. Name the feeling. Silently acknowledge what's bubbling up. I'm frustrated because they ignored me again. Naming it doesn't mean dwelling on it. It means taking its power away so it doesn't control you. 3. Shift your focus. Look at something neutral, a plant, the wall, anything, to break the emotional spiral. This tiny distraction gives your mind a second to catch up with your intent to stay calm. 4. Choose your anchor. Find a mantra or phrase that grounds you. Something simple like, I am steady, or this won't break me. Repeat it in your head until the storm passes. 5. Act, don't react. Once you're steady, decide what to say or do next. but from a place of clarity, not impulse. Maybe it's a calm, "we'll talk about this later," or a quiet exit from the room. The point is, you're in charge, not your anger. Practice this enough and it becomes second nature. You won't just avoid blowouts. You'll feel stronger, more in control, and prouder of how you handle tough moments. The ripple effect on your kids. Here's where it gets really good. Your calm doesn't just save the moment. It teaches your children something profound. Kids are sponges, soaking up how you navigate life's messiness. When they see you unruffled by their attitude, they start to question their own behavior. Not right away, maybe not even that day, but the message sinks in. Mom doesn't lose it. Dad doesn't crumble. Maybe I don't need to push so hard. Subtle but powerful. Think about a time you've watched someone handle a crisis with grace. Didn't it make you respect them more? Your kids feel that too. Your stability becomes a beacon, showing them that disrespect doesn't have to derail everything. And over time, they learn that they can face their own frustrations with the same maturity. A lesson that sticks far beyond the walls of your home. When calmness feels impossible. Let's be real. Some days, staying calm feels like climbing Everest in flip-flops. Maybe your toddler's screaming through your third reminder, or your preteen's sarcasm hits a nerve you didn't know you had. It's okay to struggle, you're human, not a saint. The goal isn't perfection, it's progress. If you slip and snap, don't beat yourself up. Take a minute, reset, and try again. Every time you choose calm over chaos, even for a few seconds longer than last time, you're winning. If it's one of those days where the disrespect piles up, give yourself permission to step away. Walk to another room, sip some water, or just close your eyes for a moment. You're not running from the problem, you're protecting your ability to handle it well. Kids won't see this as weakness. They'll see you're human, and that's a lesson in itself. Building a calmer future. Mastering your emotions isn't a quick fix. It's a long-term investment. The more you practice, the less those disrespectful moments shake you. You'll start to notice patterns. When your kids push, you'll see it coming and sidestep the trap. And as your calm becomes consistent, your home transforms. Arguments shrink, silences soften, and communication opens up. Your kids might not thank you outright, but they'll feel the difference. A steady parent who doesn't waver, no matter what they throw your way. So, the next time your child ignores you or tosses disrespect your way, don't let it pull you under. Take that deep breath. Stand tall in your calm. You're not just avoiding a fight, you're showing them strength, teaching them resilience, and building a bond that can weather anything. Starts with you right here, right now. How will you choose to respond? Step 2, show understanding without giving in. Picture this. Your child snaps at you after a long day, or maybe they brush off your words with a cold shoulder. Your gut reaction might be to clamp down hard, to demand respect, assert your authority, and put an end to the attitude right then and there. But what if, instead of jumping to control the situation, you took a step back to look deeper? Showing understanding without giving in means observing and digging into what's really driving your child's behavior, stress, insecurity, or something unspoken, rather than hitting back with a power play. This isn't about letting disrespect slide. It's about building a bridge of communication with empathy while still holding your ground. When you approach your kids this way, you open the door to connection without compromising the values you want to instill. Why understanding beats authority every time. When your child acts out, it's easy to see it as a personal attack, a challenge to your role as a parent. But more often than not, their behavior isn't about you at all. Maybe your tween is stressed about school, or your little one is wrestling with feelings they can't name. Reacting with a stern "because I said so" might shut down the moment, but it doesn't solve the root issue. Worse, it can push your child further away, leaving them feeling unheard and misunderstood. Empathy, though, flips the script. By pausing to consider what's behind their actions, you show them you're not just the enforcer, you're someone who cares enough to see beyond the surface. This doesn't mean you're going soft. Understanding isn't the same as excusing. It's about gathering insight so you can respond wisely, not impulsively. When your child feels you're trying to get where they're coming from, they're more likely to lower their guard and talk. That's where real progress happens, not in a standoff, but in a conversation. peeling back the layers. So, how do you figure out what's really going on? Start by observing. When your child ignores you or lashes out, don't take it at face value. Ask yourself, what's different today? Are they tired? Did something happen at school? Are they testing boundaries because they feel unsteady somewhere else? Kids don't always have the words to say, I'm overwhelmed or I'm scared. So they show it instead through silence, defiance, or a sharp tongue. Take a recent moment of disrespect and rewind it in your mind. Maybe your teenager slammed the door after you asked about homework. Instead of assuming they're just being rude, consider the context. Did they have a rough day? Are they juggling too much? This isn't about making excuses. It's about seeing the bigger picture. Once you've got a hunch, test it gently. A simple, hey, you seem off today, everything okay? Can crack the door open. You're not accusing or demanding. You're inviting them to share. The power of empathetic words. Words matter, and how you use them can either build a wall or a bridge. When you respond with empathy, you're not caving, you're connecting. Try this. Instead of, stop talking to me like that, shift to, I can tell something's bothering you, want to tell me what's up? The first shuts down. The second opens up. It shows you're paying attention, not just policing behavior. Your tone should be calm, curious, not confrontational. Kids can smell judgment a mile away, and it'll make them clam up faster than you can blink. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with their actions. If your child's being disrespectful, you can still call it out. Just do it with understanding woven in. For example, I get that you're upset, but talking to me like that isn't okay. Let's figure this out together. You're validating their feelings while drawing a line. That balance is key. It keeps you in control without turning it into a power struggle. Why this isn't weakness. Some parents worry that showing understanding looks like giving in, like they're letting their kids run the show. But here's the difference. Empathy isn't permission. You're not saying, go ahead and disrespect me. You're saying, I see you, I hear you, and I'm still the parent here. The strength dressed as compassion. When you refuse to escalate and instead seek to understand, you're modeling emotional intelligence, something your kids will carry into their own lives. Think of it like this. If your boss snapped at you but you knew they just lost a big client, you'd cut them some slack, right? You'd still expect professionalism, but you'd get why they're off. Kids deserve that same lens, not because they're in charge, but because they're human. Understanding their why lets you address the real issue, not just the symptom. Practical steps to show understanding. Ready to put this into action? Here's how to weave empathy into your response without losing your footing. 1. Pause before you speak. Resist the urge to fire back. Take a beat to cool off and think about what might be driving their behavior. 2. Watch and listen. Look at their body language, their tone, their eyes. Are they fidgety? Exhausted? Clues are there if you pay attention. 3. Ask. Don't assume. Use open-ended questions like, what's going on with you today? Or, is something making you feel this way? Let them fill in the blanks. 4. Reflect what you hear. If they open up, echo it back. So you're mad because your friend ditched you? This shows you're listening, not fixing. 5. Hold the line. Pair your empathy with clarity. I get why you're frustrated, but you still need to speak to me respectfully. No negotiation on that. Practice this and you'll get better at spotting the undercurrents. It's not about being a mind reader, it's about being present. The long-term payoff. When you show understanding without giving in, you're not just defusing the moment, you're building trust. Kids who feel seen are more likely to come to you when life gets messy. That snarky comment today, it might turn into a late-night chat tomorrow about something real. Empathy lays the groundwork for that shift. They'll start to see you as an ally, not an adversary, and that's when respect starts to grow naturally. Plus, you're teaching them a life skill. By watching you navigate their mess-ups with grace, they learn how to handle their own emotions and other people's with the same care. That's a gift that ripples far beyond your home. When it's hard to understand, sometimes you won't get it. Their behavior might seem random, petty, or just plain infuriating. That's okay. You don't have to have all the answers. The effort alone matters. Even if you're wrong about why they're acting out, the act of trying shifts the dynamic. They'll feel your intent, and that's enough to soften the edge. If you're stumped, don't force it. A simple, "I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm here when you're ready to talk," keeps the door open without pushing. You're still in charge, still steady, just not steamrolling. A bridge worth building. Showing understanding without giving in is about meeting your kids where they are, not where you want them to be. It's not a surrender, it's a strategy. You're trading short-term wins for long-term connection, and that's what parenting's really about. So next time your child tests you, don't reach for the gavel. Reach for insight. See what's beneath the surface, speak to it with care, and stand firm where it counts. You'll be amazed at how a little empathy can turn a wall into a bridge, one that leads to a stronger, more open relationship. Step 3. Set clear boundaries calmly. Imagine your child talks back with a tone that makes your jaw clench, or maybe they ignore your rules like they're optional suggestions. It's tempting to lay down the law with a booming voice or a pointed finger to make it crystal clear who's in charge. But here's a better way. Set clear boundaries calmly. Explain what's acceptable and what's not, pair it with consequences for crossing the line, and deliver it all with a steady, non-threatening tone. This approach doesn't just stop the behavior, it teaches your kids that actions have outcomes, while giving them the security of knowing where they stand. When you stay firm yet composed, you're not just managing the moment, you're building a foundation of respect and stability they can rely on. Why boundaries matter, and why calmness makes them stick. Kids need boundaries like plants need sunlight. Without them, they don't know how to grow straight. A lack of limits leaves them floundering, testing everything to see what holds. But here's the catch. How you set those boundaries matters just as much as the boundaries themselves. If you shout or threaten, you might get compliance for a minute, but it's fueled by fear, not understanding. Calmly stating what's okay and what's not, though, sends a different message. I'm in control, I'm fair, and I mean what I say. That's the sweet spot where real learning happens. When you pair a boundary with a consequence, delivered without drama, your child sees the cause and effect link. They don't feel attacked, they feel guided. And that guidance is a gift. Tells them the world has rules and so does your home. Over time, that clarity becomes a safety net, helping them feel secure even when they push against it. The art of setting boundaries without the fight. So, how do you draw the line without turning it into a battlefield? It starts with your mindset. You're not punishing, you're teaching. Here's how to make it work. 1. Know your line. Before you speak, decide what's non-negotiable. Is it the tone they use? Ignoring chores? Be specific. Vague rules like, be nice don't stick. Speak to me respectfully does. 2. Keep it simple. State the boundary clearly. It's not okay to yell at me when you're upset. You can tell me how you feel, but the volume stays down. No lectures, no fluff, or just the facts. 3. Add the consequence. Link it directly to the action. If you yell again, you'll lose screen time for the evening. Make it logical, not random. It's a result, not revenge. 4. Stay calm and firm. Your voice is your power. Keep it even, low and steady, no shouting, no sarcasm. Think of it like a news anchor delivering the weather. Certain, unshaken, clear. 5. Follow through. If they cross the line, enforce the consequence without hesitation. No second chances in the moment. Consistency is what makes it real. Say your kid storms off when you ask them to clean their room. You take a breath, then say, I expect you to start cleaning when I ask. If you walk away again, you won't use your phone tonight. No yelling, no guilt trips, just the boundary and the outcome. They might grumble, but they'll know exactly where the edge is. Why threats don't work, and firmness does. Threats are the fast food of parenting, quick, cheap, and ultimately unsatisfying. Do it or else might sound tough, but it's hollow if you don't follow through, and it poisons the air with tension. A calm, firm boundary, though, carries weight because it's rooted in certainty. You're not bluffing or bargaining, you're stating reality. Kids can feel the difference. A threat makes them defensive. A steady consequence makes them think. This isn't about being cold or detached. Your calm isn't indifference, it's confidence. You're showing them you don't need to raise your voice to mean business. That quiet strength sticks with them. Teaching them respect isn't forced. It's earned through consistency. The security in structure. Here's something you might not expect. Boundaries don't just limit your kids. They free them. When they know what's expected and what happens if they step out of bounds, the guesswork vanishes. They don't have to wonder how far they can push before you snap. They already know. That predictability is a comfort, even if they'd never admit it. It's like guardrails on a winding road. They might chafe at first, but they keep everyone safe. Take a child who keeps interrupting you. You say, "I need you to wait until I'm done talking." If you interrupt again, you'll wait 5 minutes before you can speak. When you enforce it calmly, they learn the rule isn't optional. And they also learn they're safe within it. No yelling, no chaos, just structure they can lean on. Handling pushback like a pro. Kids will test boundaries. It's their job. When they do, don't take it personally. They're not attacking you. They're exploring the map you've drawn. Your job is to hold the line without losing your cool. If your son rolls his eyes after you set a rule, don't escalate. Acknowledge it. I see that, and it's still not okay to disrespect me. And restate the consequence if needed. Stay steady. They'll push until they're sure the boundary's real. Then they'll adjust. If they argue, resist the urge to debate. I'm not discussing this now. The rule stands. Calm repetition beats a shouting match every time. They might not like it, but they'll respect it eventually. The long game. Boundaries build life skills. This isn't just about today's tantrum. It's about tomorrow's world. When you set clear boundaries calmly, you're prepping your kids for reality. Jobs, friendships, laws, everything has limits, and actions have consequences. By teaching them this at home, you're giving them a head start. They'll learn accountability, not because you scared them into it, but because you showed them how it works. Think about your own life. The best teachers or bosses you've had didn't scream. They set expectations and stuck to them. Your kids will carry that lesson forward, learning to navigate rules with maturity instead of resentment. When calm feels out of reach. Some days, staying calm while setting boundaries feels impossible. Maybe your toddler's defiance hits you after a sleepless night, or your teen's attitude lands on a raw nerve. It's okay to falter, you're not a statue. If you slip and raise your voice, reset. Step away, breathe, then come back with, "I didn't mean to yell. Here's the deal. This is the rule, and this is what happens if it's broken." Your recovery shows them even adults work at this. And that's a lesson too. A foundation that lasts. Setting clear boundaries calmly isn't a quick fix. It's a slow build. Each time you do it, you're laying a brick in a wall of trust and respect. Your kids might not thank you now, but they'll feel the difference. A home where rules aren't chaos, where consequences aren't cruelty, and where they can count on you to mean what you say. That's security they'll carry forever. So, next time your child crosses a line, don't reach for volume, reach for clarity. State what's acceptable, tie it to a consequence, and deliver it with unshaken calm. You're not just stopping disrespect, you're teaching them how to live with it, and without it, in a way that lasts. Step 4. Set the example you want to see. Have you ever noticed how your kids seem to pick up your habits? The good, the bad, and the quirky. Without you even trying? The way you hum off-key when you're happy? Or how you mutter under your breath when traffic's a mess? They're watching, always. So when it comes to respect and listening, the most powerful tool you have isn't a lecture or a rule. It's you. Set the example you want to see. Show respect and listen actively if you want your children to do the same. Your consistent, positive behavior isn't just a nice idea. It's the best lesson you can give, shaping how they act in your home and out in the world. Kids learn more from what you do than what you say. And when you live the values you preach, you're building a blueprint they'll follow. Why your actions speak louder than words. You can tell your kids 100 times to be respectful or listen when someone's talking. But if they see you snap at a waiter or tune out your spouse mid-sentence, guess what sticks? They're not dumb. They spot the gaps between your words and your deeds faster than you can blink. That's why setting an example isn't optional. It's essential. If you want respect, you've got to give it first. If you want them to listen, show them what listening looks like. Your behavior is their textbook, and every day you're writing the pages they'll study. This isn't about guilt-tripping yourself into perfection. It's about realizing your power. When you treat others, including your kids, with kindness and attention, you're not just being nice. You're teaching them how to live. They'll mirror your consistency, not your commands, because actions carry a weight words can't touch. Respect starts with you. Let's break it down. Respect isn't a one-way street. If you want your child to speak to you politely, start by speaking to them that way, even when they're testing your last nerve. Imagine your 5-year-old spills juice all over the floor, and your instinct is to bark. What's wrong with you? Pause. Rewind. Try this instead. Oops, that's a mess. Let's clean it up together. You're not excusing the spill. You're showing them how to handle mistakes with grace. They'll feel respected, not shamed. And that's the seed of mutual respect taking root. Or take your teenager who's sulking after a fight with a friend. Instead of dismissing it with, "Get over it," sit down and say, "I can see you're upset. Want to talk?" You're modeling respect for their feelings, even if their attitude stinks. Over time, they'll start to echo that back, and not because you demanded it, but because you showed it. Listening is your superpower. Listening's the other half of this equation, and it's trickier than it sounds. We're all guilty of half-hearing our kids while scrolling our phones or mentally planning dinner. But if you want them to tune in when you speak, you've got to give them your full attention first. Next time your child rambles about their day, even if it's the 10th story about recess, put the distractions down. Look them in the eye, nod, ask a question like, "What happened after that?" You're not just hearing words, you're showing them they matter. And when they see you listen, they'll start to listen back. This works in tense moments too. If your kid's yelling about a rule they hate, don't cut them off with, "Enough." Let them vent. Then respond, "I hear you're mad about this. Here's why it's still the rule." You're modeling how to listen through conflict, and that's a skill they'll carry everywhere. Consistency is the glue. Here's the kicker. One-off acts of respect or listening won't cut it. Kids need to see it steady day in, day out. If you're patient Monday but snapping by Wednesday, they'll notice the cracks. Consistency turns your example into a habit. There's not just yours. It's not about being flawless. It's about being reliable. When they know you'll treat them with respect even when you're tired, or listen when you're busy, they'll trust you're for real. That trust is what makes your example stick. Think of it like this. If you want them to say please and thank you, use those words yourself every time. Thank them for setting the table even if it's their chore. Say please when you ask them to grab your keys. It's small, but it builds a rhythm they'll fall into. Beyond the home, a ripple effect. Your example doesn't stop at your front door. It follows your kids into the world. When they see you treat the cashier with kindness or apologize to a friend for being late, they're learning how to move through life. That grumpy teacher, that tough teammate, they'll handle them better because they've watched you do it. You're not just raising a respectful kid for your sake. You're raising one for society's. I remember a friend whose mom always greeted their grumpy neighbor with a smile, even when he barely grunted back. Years later, my friend still talks about how that taught her patience. Your kids are soaking up those moments too, whether they say it or not. How to be the example every day. Ready to put this into gear? Here's how to make it practical. 1. Check yourself. Before you react, ask, is this how I'd want them to act? If not, adjust fast. 2. Model respect in action. Say sorry when you're wrong to them, to others. Thank people openly. Speak calmly, even under stress. 3. Listen like you mean it, no multitasking. Give them your eyes and ears, even for the little stuff. 4. Handle conflict well. When you argue with them or anyone, keep it civil. No name-calling, no slamming doors. Show them how it's done. 5. Celebrate their efforts. When they mirror your example, notice it. I love how you listen to your sister. That's awesome. Say your kid interrupts you mid-call. Instead of barking, "Wait," lower the phone and say, "I'm talking right now. I'll be with you in a sec." You've shown respect and set a boundary, all in one breath. When you mess up, because you will, you're not a robot. Some days you'll snap or zone out. It happens. The trick? Own it. "I shouldn't have yelled earlier. I was frustrated. And that's not how I want to talk to you." That's not weakness. It's strength. It shows them even adults grow, and it keeps your example real. They'll respect you more for it, not less. The payoff takes time. Don't expect instant results. Your 7-year-old won't suddenly turn into a polite angel, and your teen might still scoff for a while. But every time you model respect and listening, you're planting a seed. One day you'll catch them saying thanks, unprompted, or pausing to hear you out. And you'll see it. Your example took root. It's a slow burn, but it's worth it. A legacy in motion. Setting the example you want to see isn't just about fixing today's sass. It's about shaping who your kids become. You're their first teacher, their closest mirror. When you show respect and listen with intent, you're not just calming your home. You're building people who'll carry that into their friendships, jobs, and families of their own. So next time they push your buttons, don't preach, show them. Be the respect you want, the listener you hope for. They're watching and they'll follow not because you told them to, but because you lived it. Step 5. Create moments of connection outside of conflict. Think about the last time you and your child really connected, no arguments, no tension, just a moment where you felt close. Maybe it was laughing over a silly movie or chatting about nothing while making breakfast. Those moments feel good, don't they? But here's the thing. They're not just nice extras. They're essential. Creating moments of connection outside of conflict means carving out quality time with your kids to build a positive relationship. It's not about fixing disrespect in the heat of the moment. It's about strengthening your bond so those tough moments happen less often. A strong connection doesn't erase every clash, but it reduces their frequency and boosts natural respect over time. When your kids feel truly seen and valued, they're more likely to meet you halfway, not out of fear, but out of love. Why connection is the secret sauce. Life gets busy: work, chores, school, screens, and it's easy to let your interactions with your kids shrink to commands and corrections. Do your homework, clean your room, stop fighting. But if that's all they get from you, the relationship turns into a checklist, not a bond. Moments of connection flip that script. They're the glue that holds you together when the inevitable storms hit. When your child knows you're not just the rule maker but also the one who shares their joys, they feel safe with you. That safety is the foundation of respect. Think of it like a bank account. Every positive moment is a deposit. The more you invest, the more you can draw on when things get rocky. A kid who feels connected isn't as quick to snap or tune you out. They've got too much good stored up to throw it all away over a bad day. What quality time really looks like. Quality time doesn't mean grand gestures or expensive outings. It's about presence, not perfection. It's the 15 minutes you spend building Legos with your 6-year-old, or the car ride where you let your teen pick the music and actually talk about it. The key? No distractions. Put the phone down, turn off the TV, and focus. Your undivided attention tells them, "You're worth my time." And that sticks deeper than any lecture. It's not about forcing it either. If your kid's not a talker, don't push for a heart-to-heart. Sit with them while they game, ask about their favorite character, and let it flow. Connection grows in the quiet spaces too. A shared glance, a quick high five, a "hey, good job," when they nail something small. Those little threads weave a stronger tie than you'd think. How connection cuts conflict. Here's the magic. When you've got a solid bond, disrespect loses its edge. A child who feels close to you doesn't need to push as hard to be heard. They know you're already listening. Take a kid who's been slamming doors lately. If you've spent the weekend baking cookies together or kicking a ball around, that next flare-up might be a grumble instead of a blowout. Why? Because they've got proof you're on their team, not just their critic. It's not a cure-all. Kids will still test you, but it softens the landing. A strong connection builds trust, and trust makes them more likely to pause before crossing a line. They're not perfect, but they're less inclined to burn a bridge they enjoy crossing. Making it happen, practical steps. Ready to build those moments? Here's how to weave connection into your days without overhauling your life. 1. Find their sweet spot. What lights them up? Dinosaurs? Soccer? TikTok dances? Join them there, even if it's not your thing. Your effort matters more than your skill. 2. Set a routine. Pick a small, regular slot, 5 minutes at bedtime, a weekly walk, a Sunday pancake ritual. Consistency turns moments into memories. 3. Ask real questions. Skip, how was school? For what's the wildest thing that happened today? Or, what's your teacher like when she's mad? Dig into their world. 4. Listen, don't fix. When they talk, resist the urge to solve everything. Nod, laugh, say, "Whoa, really?" Let them lead, it's their stage. 5. Play together, build a fort, toss a frisbee, do something silly. Play cuts through age gaps and builds bonds faster than words. Say your tween's glued to their phone. Sit nearby. Ask, "What's the funniest meme you've seen today?" If they bite, roll with it. No agenda, just a thread to tug on. Or with a younger kid, grab some crayons and draw together. It's low stakes, high reward. Connection beyond the chaos. These moments aren't just for the good days. They shine brightest when you're intentional about them amid the mess. After a fight, don't let the silence linger too long. Find a neutral opener. "Hey, want to watch that show you like?" It's not ignoring the issue. It's rebuilding the bridge. The conflict's still there to address, but the connection keeps it from defining you. I knew a mom who'd leave little notes in her son's lunchbox after rough mornings. Nothing deep, just, "You've got this?" or a goofy doodle. He'd never say it, but he kept them. That tiny thread pulled them back together when words failed. The long-term win. This isn't a quick fix. It's a slow build. Every laugh, every shared glance, stacks up. Over time, your kids start to see you as more than the no guy or the nag. You're the one who gets their jokes, who remembers their weird obsessions, who shows up. That's when respect creeps in, not forced, but earned. They're less likely to lash out at someone they don't want to lose. And it's bigger than your home. A kid who feels connected learns how to connect with friends, teachers, future partners. You're not just easing today's tension. You're wiring them for relationships that last. When time's tight or they push back, life's hectic. Maybe you're juggling jobs or younger siblings, and quality time feels like a luxury. It's not about hours. It's about intent. 5 focused minutes beat a distracted hour every time. Steal moments where you can. A chat while folding laundry. A quick, "What's on your mind?" before bed. It adds up. If your kid's standoffish, say, "A teen who'd rather die than hang out." Don't force it. Drop a casual, "I'm grabbing ice cream, you in?" and let them decide. No pressure, no guilt. They might say no today, but the invite lingers. Keep showing up. They'll come around when they're ready. When you miss the mark, some days you'll be too wiped to connect, you'll snap instead of smile, or zone out when they need you. It's okay. You're human. Circle back with a simple, "I was off today. Let's try that talk again." The effort to reconnect keeps the thread alive. They'll see you're not perfect, but you're trying. And that's a lesson too. A bond that holds. Creating moments of connection outside of conflict is like planting a tree. It starts small, but it grows deep. You're not just dodging fights. You're building a relationship that can take them. So next time the air's clear, don't let it slip by, grab a moment. Share a laugh, ask a question, just be there. Your kids might not say it, but they'll feel it. You're not just their parent, you're their person. And that's the kind of tie that turns respect into something they give, not something you demand. Step 6. Give them space to reflect. Imagine you've just had a tense moment with your child. Maybe they talked back, ignored a rule, or stormed off in a huff. You've stayed calm, set the boundary, and said what needs saying. Now what? Your instinct might be to hover, to demand an apology, or to push for an instant turnaround. Fix this attitude right now. But here's a wiser move. Give them space to reflect. After you've addressed the situation, don't force immediate change. Stepping back and letting them process on their own terms can spark self-awareness and growth far more effectively than any pressure you apply. When you give your kids room to think, you're not letting them off the hook, you're trusting them to find their way back. And that's where real maturity begins. Why space beats force every time. When your child messes up, it's natural to want resolution fast. And, I'm sorry, a hug, something to tie a bow on it, but pushing for that quick fix often backfires. Kids dig in their heels when they feel cornered, defiance flares, and the lesson you're trying to teach gets lost in the standoff. Space, though, flips the dynamic. It's a quiet invitation. I've said my piece. Now it's your turn to figure this out. That shift hands them the reins to their own growth, and it's more powerful than you might think. Reflection doesn't happen under a spotlight. It needs room to breathe. When you step back, you're giving their mind a chance to wrestle with what happened. Why did I snap? What's the cost? Is this who I want to be? Forcing an instant apology might get you words, but space can get you change. The kind that sticks because they chose it. The magic of time and distance. Time is your ally here. Think about your own life. When you've had a fight or made a mistake, didn't the clarity come later, after the heat faded? Kids are the same. Right after a clash, they're flooded mad, embarrassed, stubborn. Pressing them to get it in that moment is like asking a boiling pot to cool itself. But give them an hour, a day, even a night to sit with it and something shifts. The fog lifts and they start to see what you saw, not because you hammered it in, but because they worked it out. Distance helps too. When you're not hovering, they don't feel judged or watched. That freedom lets them drop the defenses and face themselves. A kid who's sulking in their room might replay the argument, feel a pang of guilt, and come back softer, all without you saying another word. How to give space without losing ground. So, how do you pull this off without it feeling like you're giving up? It's about balance. You've set the stage, now let them walk it. Here's a roadmap. 1. Wrap it up cleanly. After addressing the issue, say, "You can't talk to me like that. We'll revisit this if it happens again." Leave it there. No lingering lectures or guilt trips. 2. Step away. Physically or emotionally create distance. Walk to another room, shift to a neutral task, or just go quiet. Show them you're done pushing. 3. Resist the urge. Don't chase an apology or check in too soon. Let them sit with it, even if it's awkward. 4. Trust the process. Believe they're capable of reflection even if they're young. Kids surprise you when you give them room. 5. Watch for openings. When they're ready, a shy hey or a softer tone. Meet them there. Don't rehash unless they do. Picture your teen slamming the door after you call out their rudeness. You say, "That's not okay. We don't do that here." Then let it rest. You head to the kitchen, make tea, and wait. An hour later, they shuffle in, mumbling, "Sorry about earlier." That's space doing its work. No arm twisting needed. Why this isn't letting them win? Some parents worry that stepping back looks weak, like they're dodging the fight or letting disrespect slide. It's not. You've already drawn the line. Now you're letting them decide how to cross back. It's strength, not surrender. Trust in your guidance and their ability to grow. You're not ignoring the problem. You're giving it room to resolve on a deeper level. They don't win, they learn. This also isn't neglect. You're not abandoning them to figure life out solo. You're just shifting from director to guide. The boundary's set. The consequence is clear if they cross it again. Space is the bridge between your words and their understanding. The growth that comes from within. Here's where it gets beautiful. When kids reflect on their own, the lesson sinks deeper. A forced sorry is just noise. They say it to get you off their back. But a quiet realization, that's theirs. Maybe your 8-year-old thinks, "I didn't like how that felt," or your 15-year-old admits, "I was a jerk." That's not you winning a battle, it's them growing up. Self-awareness is the goal, and space is the soil it grows in. I knew a dad whose son kept sneaking snacks after bedtime. After a calm, "You know the rule, no more tonight," he left it alone. Next night, the kid didn't sneak, not out of fear, but because he chewed on why it bugged his dad. Space turned a rule into a choice. When they don't come around, not every kid reflects fast, or at all at first. Your toddler might just sulk longer, your teen might double down. That's okay, growth isn't linear. If they stall, don't rush in. A day or two later, you might nudge gently. How are you feeling about the other day? Keep it light, the seed's still planted. Some take weeks, months, even years to sprout. Your job is patience, not pressure. If the behavior repeats, enforce the consequence you set calmly, no drama. Space doesn't mean no accountability. It means you don't micromanage their conscience. The bigger picture, life lessons. This isn't just about today's tantrum. It's about tomorrow's character. Giving space teaches them to think for themselves. In school, at work, in relationships, they'll face choices without you hovering. Reflection turns, what do I have to do? Into, what should I do? That's maturity in motion. And you sparked it by stepping back. Think of your own moments of clarity. Didn't they come when someone trusted you to sort it out? You're giving your kids that same gift, the chance to own their growth, not borrow yours. When space feels hard, letting go can sting. You might feel ignored or worry they'll never get it. Maybe you're itching to fix it now. That's normal, parenting's emotional. If you falter and prod too soon, just reset. I'll give you some time. It's a skill you build like they do. And if they're young, say preschool age, space might be shorter, a few minutes instead of hours. Adjust to their pace, but keep the principle. A quiet power. Giving them space to reflect is a slow, steady play, not a loud victory, but a lasting one. You're not just cooling a hot moment. You're raising a thinker, a feeler, someone who'll weigh their actions because they want to, not because they have to. So next time the dust settles, don't fill the silence. Let it sit. Watch them wrestle, grow, and come back stronger. They might not thank you today, but they'll carry that space and what they find in it for a lifetime. Final thoughts. Building a stronger bond with patience and purpose. Now that you've got these 6 steps in your toolkit, let's wrap up with some extra wisdom to keep your journey smooth and your connection strong. First, learn to let go of the small stuff. Not every eye roll or grumbled, whatever needs a showdown. Picking your battles saves your energy and shows your kids that peace matters more than petty wins. Next, invite them into family decisions. Whether it's choosing a weekend activity or setting a chore schedule. Giving them a voice boosts their sense of responsibility and respect, making them feel like partners, not just followers. Don't forget to shine a light on their progress, even the tiny wins. Did they say thanks without a nudge? Hold back a snarky comment? Tell them you noticed, hey, I saw how you handled that, and it was awesome. Positive reinforcement fuels more of the behavior you want to see. And here's a big one, own your mistakes. If you overreacted or misjudged, say it, I got that wrong, and I'm sorry. It's not weakness. It's strength, teaching them that growth is a lifelong gig, not a finish line. Finally, keep your eyes on the long game. Change doesn't hit overnight. It's a slow dance of patience and consistency. Every calm response, every moment of connection, every bit of space you give builds a relationship that's not just peaceful but unbreakable. There'll be bumps, sure, but with these tools you're crafting a bond that can weather anything. So how do you handle those tricky moments with your kids? You've got the know-how now. It's all about staying steady, showing up, and letting them grow into it. Before we go, we want to take a moment to thank you, our incredible ZenLight 8 family. You're the heartbeat of this channel, showing up with open minds and warm hearts to soak in these nuggets of wisdom and light. Your likes, your shares, your comments, they keep us going, and we're so grateful to be on this journey with you. If this video spoke to you, hit that like button, share it with someone who could use it, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. We've got more goodness coming your way. Let's keep spreading calm, connection, and growth together. See you in the next one. Until then, stay steady and shine bright.